Hey and welcome to Chefs for Foodies. Today we've got a very special collaboration that we're doing in partnership with Fresh Asia. We'll be taking you through a dim sum sharing box. So we've got lots of meat and veggie options here with some lovely side accompaniments that we'll take you through the recipes for. My name's Omar, I'm a chef. I was a finalist on MasterChef 2023. So let's get cooking. So we're going to start off with our spring onion pancakes today. These make the perfect accompaniment to dim sum. They're really quick and easy to make. So we're going to start with our plain flour. We're going to put that in a stand mixer to start our dough. So let's get that in there. We're then going to add a little pinch of salt just to give it that lovely savoury taste. And then we're going to get our stand mixer on and slowly add 100 millilitres of hot boiling water to bring the dough together. So we're going to get this started. And then slowly spoon this into the mix. So we use hot water as it kind of activates that dough. Creates a really nice kind of sticky dough, which is what we're looking for, to kind of bind everything together. So we'll get that on a high heat. And make sure all of that flour is incorporated. So you should start to see the dough come together. Into a nice little ball. It should still be a little bit wet. We can keep adding, we've got some extra flour here as well. So we can just add that to make sure it all kind of comes together. It will be quite wet to start with, but that's okay. So we're just gonna pause that, make sure we unstick all the little parts that are at the bottom. And then from there, we can leave this to knead. So we're going to leave this to a knead for around 6 to 8 minutes. We want it to come together, it'll be really soft. Keep checking on it as you watch it knead. Just add a little bit more flour if you need to, if it's still looking a little bit wet. I've used my stand mixer here, but if you don't have a stand mixer, you can just do this normally. So just mix everything in a bowl, either use some chopsticks to kind of bring the dough together at the beginning, and then knead for 6 to 8 minutes. We'll do exactly the same job. You don't need a stand mixer. Now we've got our dough resting, we're going to move on to making our paste that goes in the middle of the doughs. So what we've got here is we've got some plain flour, the ground coriander, the ground ginger, and some sesame oil. So we're just going to mix this all together to create a really nice paste. This will go in between the layers of our spring onion pancake and bring some really nice flavours through. So we'll just mix all those together. So the sesame oil which we'll add is what brings it together into a really nice paste. So we will add that and then just give that a mix together. So you can see that really starts to become a really nice kind of sludgy mix. So we'll kind of layer that between our sheet pancake as we roll it out to just add loads of really nice flavour alongside the spring onions. So we'll leave that to the side. And now we're just going to start by cutting our spring one. So we really want to make sure we can use the white and the green for this part. Make sure you've cleaned them and got any excess stuff off. But we want to make sure this is as fine as it can be. So you get those really nice spring onion flavours, but there's not like large kind of chunks through it. So we're just going to chop that as finely as we can. From there, we'll just give it a little re-chop, just make sure it's as fine as it can be. So now we're going to move on to our coconut rice. So we're going to start by washing our basmati rice. So this is a really important step. It removes any of the impurities and gets all that starch off, so you get a really nice kind of sticky rice. So we're just going to kind of put it through some water and then drain it maybe 3 or 4 times just to kind of get all of those kind of impurities off. So as you do that, the water should start to get more see-through and clear. So that's a good way to kind of see how clean your rice is. So now we've washed our rice, we're going to put a little bit of oil in a hot pan. Basically bring that to a heat so it starts to sizzle a little bit. And then from there, we're gonna add our washed rice. So we just do this to like toast it off a little bit. It helps bring some nice flavors through it. And now we're looking for quite a sticky texture to this rice. So it helps kind of make that stickiness. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add all of this rice, put that in there. And we're just gonna give that a little stir and make sure all of the grains get coated in that oil. for around 2 minutes. And then we're gonna add our coconut milk. So this will bring a really nice creamy texture to the rice. So we've got the coconut milk and we've got the water. So once that's all done, we're just gonna add those in, give that a nice mix around, and then just add our water as well. So that's 160 millilitres of each. And you give that a little bit of a stir. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and then we're just gonna leave that for around 10 to 15 minutes until all that liquid is reduced and gone. We'll get a lovely sticky rice. So we can just move on to the next step. So for the top of the rice, we want to really toast off some lovely desiccated coconut just to give some of that lovely smokiness to the dish. So what we're going to do is we've got our desiccated coconut here. We're just going to add this to a hot pan, pour that in, give it a little toss, and then we basically just want to keep our eye on it. This should only take about 5 to 6 minutes, depending on what level your heat is. But we're just going to keep an eye on it and just keep tossing it around and make sure all of those little coconut flakes get really nice and toasted. They'll just start to turn colour. They can go dark quite quickly, so just keep an eye on them. Brilliant. So as you can see, the coconut is really toasted off, so it's got this lovely kind of golden caramel colour. So we're just going to keep tossing that, and then as you can see, it's got a really nice colour to it. So we're just going to take that off the heat and pour it into a little bowl and set aside for when we're ready to plate. So now our dough's finished kneading. We're just gonna take this out of the stand mixer, or likewise if you've not used one, we'll just take this and put it in some cling film. So basically we just wanna let it rest for 10 minutes and just give it a minute to relax while we prepare all the other pieces. So we'll just set that to one side. So now we're gonna start on our pickled carrot and radish salad. So we're gonna take our rice vinegar, we're gonna top that up with exactly the same amount of water, so just a little bit there, just to balance out the acidity in the vinegar. We're then going to add our sugar, and that will bring a really nice sweetness to the pickle. There's quite a lot of natural sweetness in a radish and a carrot anyway, so it'll bring out those really nice parts of it. We're then going to add the salt. And we've also got some garlic powder here, so that'll just bring another dimension of flavour to the pickle. So we're just going to add that in, and then we're just going to give that a stir. Really incorporate that sugar, that salt, that garlic powder, and that vinegar. So we're just going to put that to the side, and then from there we're going to start on our vegetable prep. So what we're going to do is we're just going to peel our carrot. I sometimes keep my carrot peelings. You can fry them in oil, make a really nice kind of crisp topping for salads and stuff. That's completely up to you. So we'll just put them to the side for the minute. And then we want to get some really nice kind of long, thin batons here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that in half. Cut it in half again, diagonally. And then kind of cut some thin strips of it. If you've also got a mandolin, you can do that on that. But I like to do it by hand. So we can then stack them all on top of each other as so, and then cut vertically. So we just get some really nice strands of the carrot there. You can go as thin or as chunky as you want. I quite like a nice bit of crunch. It's a really nice texture to have some crunch on this dish when you compare it to like the softness of the dumplings and stuff. So now we've got our carrots, we're just going to prep our radishes. So we're just going to take the tops and the bottoms off, and then from there just cut some really nice thin slices. The nice thing about this pickle is, because we've got two really brightly coloured vegetables as well, you get a really nice colour that they kind of blend together when you put it in the pickle, and all that acidity kind of saturates some of the colour. So we're just going to chop these really fine. It really doesn't matter if they're all regular. It's kind of the nice part of a pickle, it can be really rustic. So now our timer's gone on our rice, we're just gonna check that. Oh, looks lovely. So you can see, because of the coconut milk it's got a really nice kind of glutinous kind of texture to it. So some of the rice is separated, whereas some of it's really nice and stuck together. That's exactly what we're looking for here. Nothing stuck to the bottom and all the liquid's gone. Perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set that aside ready for placing. Take it off the heat. So now we're gonna put our vegetables into the pickle. So all of that's just had a little minute to marinate. We're just gonna add our carrot and all of our lovely radish and just give that a big mix. We want to try and make sure as much of that liquid covers the vegetables as possible. You can even use your hands to really get that in there and get all of that soaking together. So for then, we're just going to set that to the side, put that in the fridge, depending on how long you're doing this in advance of when you're actually going to eat, but we're just going to set this aside. So now our dough's rested, we're going to start rolling out our spring onion pancakes. So we're going to take the dough out of the cling film. We're just going to put a little bit of plain flour on the work surface, just so it doesn't all stick. Cover some of the dough in it, and then we're just going to separate this into two. So the other part we're going to use for our second pancake. We're just going to set that aside for the moment. So what we want to do is we want to take a rolling pin and we want to roll this out kind of the thickness of like a pound coin and get rolling that out. So we want to try and get it as close to a circle as we can. But if you can't get a circle, it's fine. It looks better with plastic. That's what I tell myself at least. Once that's rolled out like that, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this paste that we made earlier and we're just going to kind of slather that on top of this. So that will basically give all of that lovely ginger, that coriander taste that we mixed with the sesame oil, that will kind of all go into the flavour of our pancake. So just try and spread that quite evenly. And then from there, we're just going to take our spring onions and we're just going to kind of cover the pancake as much as we can. Because we've got that lovely paste, they all should stick. So now we're going to take our pancake and just slowly roll it into a sausage-like shape. So what we're doing there is we're locking in all that flavour. We've got all of those lovely aromats. We've got that spring onion. We're just going to put that in. And then we're basically going to make like a snail shell out of it, as you can see. So from there, this part we have to be quite gentle with because obviously we've got all of the things in the middle there. We're just going to try and roll it back out as thin as we can. Kind of like a £1 coin again is what we're aiming for. But as we start to roll this, you'll start to see all the spring onions kind of come through. So you'll start to see little parts of it through your dough, which you should be able to see there. So we're just going to roll this out. And basically creating that spiral as well, it gives you a really nice flakiness to the pancakes. And we want to make sure that it's not too thin, that it's still got a really nice bite to it. Because when we put that in the pan, it's going to have that lovely caramelization to it. So there you can see, we're all good. So we're just going to move on to the next one. So as you're rolling the dough out and bring it together into your kind of snail shape, maybe just use a little bit of oil. So I've just dabbed my fingers here just to kind of make sure it all sticks together. So you don't get kind of it all flaking apart as you start to roll it out. So now we're ready to fry off our pancakes now they're all rolled out. So I'm just going to add a little bit of oil into a hot pan. So you want this over quite a high heat because we want to get like a really nice kind of caramelized texture on our pancakes. And make sure kind of the whole bottom of that pan is kind of fully covered in oil. So we want to get this to quite a high temp. So we're just going to let that come up to heat. So now that's at heat, what we're going to do is we're going to place our spring onion pancake into the bottom. So we want to cook these for around 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Depending on the heat of your hob, just keep an eye on them, just keep checking underneath that they don't go too dark. So the last thing you want is for it to be a bit doughy in the middle, but then really kind of scorched on the top. So yeah, we can keep moving that around, make sure it kind of gets all that oil in, and then you should see it start to sizzle. So as you can see, it's really started to get some nice colour on the bottom there, and we've got some really nice little like air bubbles which have started to pop up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flip that over so it can just cook on the other side. So we've got some really nice caramelisation there. That's exactly what we want. Those aren't burnt bits, that's all flavour we've got there. So now we're just going to cook it for the same amount of time on the other side until the other side's just as golden. When you've flipped over, we can also just maybe add a little bit more oil. That'll just make sure it doesn't get too burnt, it just kind of keeps that lovely caramelised texture on it. So now we're going to start cooking our dim sum. So we've got a different selection here. We've got some char siu pork bao buns, we've got some prawn shumai, some prawn hagao, and then some chicken gyoza as well. So we're going to start by lining our steam baskets. So we just make sure these lovely bits of paper are just in so nothing sticks together. And then we're just going to place in on one level, we're going to put our char siu buns and our shumai dumplings. So we're going to start by cooking these to begin with, and then we'll add another layer on top after 5 minutes. So we're just going to place that over a pan of hot boiling water for 5 minutes. And then in the meantime, we've got a pan with some hot oil in here, and we're going to start cooking our gyozas. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a really nice kind of crispy texture on the bottom, and then we steam them through to make sure they're cooked. So we're going to place those into our hot pan. Just this side down, so we can get that lovely crispy base. We usually need just a cup of water ready. We want to make sure that when we add the water to steam them, they're kind of just up to about a third of the way up, just to make sure that they kind of fully steam through all that water. When we put the lid on, we'll steam them through. So while they're all starting to cook, we're just going to prepare our next basket. So add the paper onto the bottom for them to steam. We're going to add our prawn hagao just to the bottom there. So that will go on top of our basket after 5 minutes, and then everything will cook for another 10 minutes and then all come out together so it can all be served at the same time. Just want to make sure we keep moving these around a little bit so they don't stick too much to the bottom. So now we've got that lovely crispy base on the bottom, we're just going to get our lid ready and add our water into the pan. We're going to place the lid on top so none of that steam can escape. So we're kind of steaming the dumplings and cooking that inside chicken mixture. These are now ready to add the next layer on top. So we're just going to sit that nicely on top, place the lid on, and then give that another 10 minutes until everything's ready. So now our dim sum's nearly ready. So we're just going to start placing all our other elements. So we've got our lovely spring onion pancakes here. We've got our coconut rice, which I've topped with that lovely toasted desiccated coconut. We've got our pickled salad here, which I've added some sesame seeds to, just to give a little bit of crunch through. So every dim sum needs its condiments and dipping oils. So what I've got here is this lovely Yep Kitchen Sichuan chili crisp. So I'm going to serve that. We're going to pour that into a bowl, make sure we get all that lovely chili crisp in there too. Give that a little stir. So it's a really nice bit of heat to our dim sum. And then from there, we've just got a lovely little dipping sauce here as well. So this is kind of just a classic kind of dim sum dipping sauce made with soy, vinegar, ginger, just as another kind of refreshing hit and little condiment there. So we're now ready to plate up the rest of our dim sum. So here we've got our prawn hagao. So you can see that's gone lovely and translucent. So we're just going to plate those here. And then on our second layer, we've got the bao buns. So those are the pork char siu. I'm just going to remove that bottom layer there, place those on the plate. Look how lovely and fluffy they are. And then we've got our shumai. So these we'll just pop on the plate as well. And there we have it. We've got our beautiful dim sum platter, we've got our spring onion pancakes, our coconut rice, these lovely condiments, and our pickled salad.